Hi folks, some of you know that I am not at home till around Christmas time. So I am having to make do with what I've got. I've managed to find a neutral background and anyway, let's dive into what we have to talk about because the energies now till I would say the first week of Jan are complex and interesting, and this video really is about Venus entering Scorpio on December 4th and then remaining in Scorpio till December the 29th. But I am going to, it's hard to talk about this transit without talking about the other energies of the time. We've got a focus of energy, of course, in the sign of Sagittarius. The Sun is in Sagittarius, Mars is in Sagittarius, and while Mercury has moved into Capricorn, it retrogrades the day after the Sagittarius new moon on December the 12th, and then comes back into Sagittarius and goes direct in Sagittarius on January the 1st or 2nd, depending on where you are. So, and of course, we've got the new moon in Sag coming up. So that's where, if we were to look at our day-to-day lives, and if you were to have a sense of your chart and you knew which house was occupied by Sagittarius in the chart, it wouldn't surprise me one bit if the majority of the activity occurring that you are dealing with might be in the Sagittarius part of the chart. Now I say majority of the activity you might be dealing with, that doesn't mean that where you necessarily always want the focus to be or that your focus isn't split or divided. Because we are, number one, still under the influence of the Scorpio new moon, which was on November 12th or 13th. And of course, we continue to be in that lunar cycle all the way to December the 12th, till the Sag new moon. And we've got Venus finishing up the personal planet transits in the sign of Scorpio. We've also got Mercury currently in Capricorn, kind of saying, well, the more we move towards the end of December and into January, while some of those energies are going to be split with the sign of Sagittarius, the sign of Capricorn will also make its presence felt. Most importantly, I think, the transits, and this has been going on since July. And it's not, I don't see these energies ending till February. I still feel like we're moving towards that there's an arc that started in July when Venus went retrograde, and that we're still moving towards that Venus-Mars conjunction on February 22nd, I believe. I'm going to confirm the date as we head towards. In February, Venus and Mars conjunct in Aquarius, and I feel like that is what we're still aiming towards. We're aiming towards a certain kind of clarity, a certain coming together of energies, a certain consummation, a certain being on the other side of this change. As I've mentioned to you, the second half of 2023 feels very eclipsy. The changes, on the one hand, as we headed towards the end of August, you've heard me say this a lot, the change was announced or felt, or which direction we want to go in, but then there have been delays and slowdowns and confusions and false starts. But then, especially till, I would say, December 8th, 9th, 10th, is still a certain amount of forward movement. I'm talking about the end of this week. And then when we get to that Mercury retrograde in Capricorn and Sagittarius, we have to wait for more clarity to emerge. You know, what is it that we have been missing? What has been in our blind spot that we need to incorporate? You know, what is it that is coming up that needs to be the Mercury retrograde demands yet another slowdown, yet another reckoning with what it is that is in our blind spot right now, and that's going to emerge and that we have to factor in as we continue to move forward. I'm just going to leave it at that. Now, with the personal planets making their transits, well, actually, let me go back to what I said with regard to since July, what energies have been prevalent. The energies that have been prevalent have largely been supportive of the eclipses in Taurus and Aries, and I should say the eclipses on the Taurus-Scorpio axis and the Aries-Libra axis. During the middle of this year, 2023 is a handoff of eclipses on the Taurus-Scorpio axis to the Aries-Libra axis. So, and October 28th was the last of the last 2-year eclipses in the Taurus-Scorpio, on the Taurus-Scorpio axis. We had the lunar eclipse in Taurus on October 28th. As of the end of April 18th, 19th, we also started the eclipses on the Aries-Libra axis. And when planets transited Leo, Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorn, they are really either trining or squaring or opposing the North Node, Jupiter and Uranus in Taurus, Chiron in Aries, and the North Node is now in Aries. So with these personal planets transit, part of the change and part of the assessment and part of what the personal planets bring in terms of, and because Mars is close to the Sun, Mercury, and Venus right now, all these personal planets are somewhat together, are quite together. Venus being the one right now that's trailing behind to provide its kind of healing energy or provide its opportunity to provide closure to the signs where the Sun and Mercury and Mars have made their transits and the new moons have happened, and then Venus comes in on the back end and goes, all right, here's an attempt at a resolution. Here's some solutions, potential solutions. Here's some opportunities, relationship opportunities, financial opportunities, some luck, something that this part of the chart needs after this annual assessment, for lack of a better word, in these parts of the chart. The Leo part of the chart where Venus was retrograde, the Virgo part of the chart where Mercury was retrograde, the Libra part of the chart where we had the South Node Libra solar eclipse in the middle of October. The Scorpio part of the chart, we are very much within what I would call Scorpio, you know, as I've mentioned to you, my idea, we're technically in the way that we understand this terminology in Sagittarius season, but as I've mentioned to you, for me, we're also in Scorpio season and Capricorn season, given the fact that Mercury has entered Capricorn. For me, a season begins and ends, begins when the first of the personal planets makes its entry, or the new moon happens, or when the first of the personal planets makes its entry into a sign, and then ends when the last of the personal planets leaves the sign. Sometimes Mars is close to these personal planets and sometimes it is not. So Mars can be factored in or not depending on its proximity to the Sun, Mercury, and Venus, but right now it's close to them. So for all intents and purposes, sorry, I have my notes over here. Give me 1 sec. I know I'm falling out of something. Hold on 1 second. I just want to get you, for all intents and purposes, Scorpio, Scorpio season for me ends on December the 29th once Venus leaves Scorpio. Now, being in contact with squares, as I've mentioned and described, it had the energy has more to do with the personal planet, the faster moving planet, needing a certain amount of energy and action in order to allow the slower moving planet that is being squared to perform its function or job where the slower moving planet is sitting. The trine is just a harmonious, opportunity-filled aspect that should be taken advantage of. During an opposition, the faster moving planet must serve the slower moving planet, must do something to support what it is that the slower moving planet is trying to do. Although sometimes with an opposition, you really can get this energy of opposing, something happening in the opposing charts that are clashing with each other. From within the sign of Scorpio, the most notable, now, we have this support energy and this cooperation with, whether through squares, trines, or oppositions, with Uranus and Jupiter in Taurus in the North Node and Chiron in Aries, where these eclipses and these planetary transits are, the Aries and the Taurus part of the chart right now is where the more exciting and opportunity-filled and expansive transits are taking place. So if there's a place where we look to for the light or towards forward movement, it's in that Aries and Taurus part of the chart where we've got Jupiter creating a new beginning, a new 12, 13-year cycle and ending a 12, 13-year cycle, Uranus making us more authentic in that part of the chart, and in Aries, absolutely meant to follow what we're called to and kind of has this kind of desire component to it with the North Node and perform whatever it is that needs to be healed, that has long-standing roots in our childhoods with Chiron's presence there. So the opportunity is very much in the Aries and the Taurus part of the chart that needs support, that needs forward movement, that needs direction, where there's a carrot at the end of the stick that we're feeling called upon to pursue. And as the personal planets since July have been squaring, trining, opposing these particular parts of the chart, they're meant to act or support or harmonize or cooperate and create opportunities and capitalize on opportunities that can keep this forward momentum going in the Aries and Taurus part of the chart. But there's also been, from within the Pisces part of the chart, where we have Saturn and Neptune, challenge. And part of this challenge, as I've mentioned to you before, the Pisces part of our chart has been under stress and pressure for a while, since 2014, 15, 16, where there may have been actually some sort of crisis in that part of the chart. And you're going to have to determine and know where Pisces sits in your chart and what this crisis may be, if this resonates for you. And with Saturn's entry into Pisces since March, there's the opportunity to responsibly take responsibility for this part of the chart and put some solutions and structure and foundation and solve and sort out issues that need to be solved and sorted out. And with Neptune's presence in this part of the chart, there's still this feeling of, when it comes to issues in the part of the chart, the house that is occupied by Pisces, there's still very possibly an element of deception or gaslighting or cloudiness, theft. Even it could be delusional thinking on our part, a feeling like we don't have a complete sense of what's actually going on, a sense of a grip on reality, a fantasist element. And as I've mentioned to you before, with Neptune on the positive side, if the sign of Pisces and where it sits in your chart really kind of harmonizes with this, when it comes to spiritual factors and renunciation and giving up a grip on the material or on 3D reality, or where it comes to inspiration for artistic or creative activities, Neptune can be quite favorable in being a channel for that. So it all really depends on where Pisces sits in your chart and what house it occupies, where some of this, and depending on whether Neptune is sitting, for example, in the first, second, third house, in the more personal houses that stand for you, it could be you that are acting in a Neptunian way, that who whether you're aware of it or not, could be being secretive or elusive. But if it is on the parts of the chart that stand for someone else, the 7th house, the 8th house, it could be other parties. And again, there's that delusional aspect too, with regard to just feeling like you don't have a grip on reality. With these personal planets, particularly when they went through Virgo and Scorpio and Sagittarius, when these planets have gone through, and by these I mean the sun, the moon, the new moon created by the sun and the moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, there have been either oppositions or trines or squares. The oppositions would come from the sign of Virgo, the trines would come from the sign of Scorpio, and the squares, which are also presently active, are coming from the sign of Sagittarius. So while the opportunity for growth and the more exciting opportunities, one might say, are coming from the Aries and the Taurus part of the chart, the potential challenges, the part of the chart that is saying, hey, not so fast, remember that you have got to, in order to capitalize on the success that you're trying to capitalize on, the Aries and Taurus of the part of the chart, you've got to take the Pisces part of the chart seriously and responsibly. And otherwise it can create hurdles or problems or barriers that could impede that success. So the Pisces part of the chart is demanding responsible action and responsible energies. Now, when it comes to the personal planet transits, the further away the planet, now, and I want to take that with a little bit of a grain of salt, because the Earth, you've got the Sun and Mercury and Venus, and the Earth and the Moon can sometimes be on the Sun side or the opposite side, and Mars. I'm not talking about closeness or farness from, let me put it this way. When it comes to the Sun, Mercury, Venus, Mars, in that order, I would say the Moon, the Sun, Mercury, Venus, Mars. What I'm really trying to say is that out of these planets, the Mars transits that you're going to feel when it comes to these squares and oppositions and trines, that you're going to feel most strongly. And the other transits might be at the end of the day, with these planets, with these faster moving planets, with the personal planets, these trines and the challenges and the opportunities are much more mundane. They are much more part of our day-to-day lives. They are not quite as interventionist as, say, Jupiter or Saturn, or especially Neptune, Uranus, Pluto, or Chiron, where those changes and those transits and the eclipses, you know, that are trying to really kind of pull the rug from under our feet or create significant cyclical changes. When it comes to the Sun, Mercury, Venus, Mars, the moons, these operate on a much more regular, month by month, kind of mundane level. The Mars transits pack the most punch. So when Mars squared Saturn around Thanksgiving, just before Saturn, that would have felt like something. The other transits will also, but they're dropping hints and providing opportunities and demanding action when it comes to moving towards the opportunities related to the Aries and Taurus part of the chart, or contending with what needs to be dealt with very, very realistically and responsibly and carefully within the Pisces part of the chart, or what it is that needs to be handled when it comes to anything that is fantasist or deceptive in the Pisces part of the chart. Okay, now, Venus in the Scorpio part of the chart is going to oppose Jupiter and Uranus in Taurus and trine Saturn and Neptune in Pisces. Those are the 4 transits that she is going to make during her transit through Scorpio. That will provide an opportunity to provide some sort of opportunity that will harmonize with the energies of Saturn and Neptune and Pisces, and hopefully provide some sort of solution, financial solutions, relationship solutions, to help you with contending with any deception or delusional or fantasist issues in the Pisces part of the chart, or especially in taking the Pisces part of your chart more seriously. Okay? So, and deal with the issues there in a responsible Saturnian manner. At the same time, and equally importantly, if not more importantly, Venus's opposition to Jupiter and Uranus in Taurus demands that something Venusian occur, that Venus in Scorpio serve Jupiter and Uranus in Taurus. Until very recently, till the 28th of October, we had the eclipses of leaning into the North Node eclipses in Taurus and the eclipses of release in Scorpio, essentially saying that something in the Scorpio part of the chart needed to be released or changed or transformed in a way that would enable us to lean into the Taurus part of the chart and expand there, or capitalize on expansion there. So one of the things as Venus transits Scorpio that you may need to think about is, what are changes, hunches, what is it that has needed to be released in the Scorpio part of your chart? You know, Venus is not an eclipse. Venus may operate on 2 different levels. She may do what she normally does, which is provide opportunity, healing, beauty, relationship, financial opportunities, the bringing in of a certain amount of luck on a day-to-day basis, to make the Scorpio part of the chart more active in a harmonious, in a more blessed, in a more fortunate way, in a way that kind of, with the recent transits in Scorpio, and the fact that we're still in the new moon cycle of Scorpio till December the 12th, she starts to bring some solutions and some healing and a way forward. So some of it could do with where Scorpio sits in your chart and what is the current state, and some of it could do with what is the desired state that has been articulated and created in the space that's been created by the recent eclipses. So it could either all be one thing, what needs to be released in the Scorpio part of the chart to support the Taurus part of the chart, if we're in keeping with the eclipse language, and Venus provides gateways or portals or solutions to help you to move in that direction, or it could be a twofold thing. Venus provides solutions, beauty, harmony, within the context of where Scorpio sits in your chart currently, and also provides opportunities to release something in the Venus part of the chart to create a new state that supports the Taurus part of the chart. Most importantly, Venus in Scorpio needs to serve Jupiter in Taurus. Where does Taurus sit in your chart? What house is occupied by Taurus? And what 12-13 year cycle is ending and what 12-13 year cycle is beginning with Jupiter in Taurus. And remember, with Jupiter, if you are not aligned or not on the right path in the Taurus part of your chart, Jupiter can create an ending that allows you to create a new beginning. And the ending can be dramatic. It can be a layoff. It can really be a termination of something. And Jupiter says, you're not on the right track. Would you like to get on the right track? As exciting as that might sound, those, again, with Jupiter and Saturn, as I've said, you've got to co-create with those planets. Jupiter can extend a hand, but you've got to determine whether you're going to take it or not and how you're going to do it in a grounded manner. If you are on the right path, then what Jupiter can do is provide you the next stage of development after 12-13 years of being on that path. So what can Venus and Scorpio do? What Venusian actions and opportunities can be taken or availed of to move you and to support Jupiter being able to create this new beginning in the Taurus part of your chart? And then when it comes to Uranus, what can Venus do in Scorpio to make sure that the Taurus part of your chart and you in the Taurus part of the chart become more true to yourself, more authentic, following your own path, singing your own song, not everyone's path in every career or every direction or every finding a home or what is the same. People have their own very distinctive ways of building things, no matter what you do. And so with Uranus, that is what Uranus is trying to create, which is what is true for you, what is authentic to you. So to summarize, Venus's transit in Scorpio, fortunately, I think, still very much within the new moon cycle of Scorpio, which continues till December the 12th, starts to bring some solutions, starts to bring some resolutions, starts to open up some portals, some gateways to support the Taurus part of the chart and indeed the Pisces part of the chart. The Pisces part of the chart support is going to be more apparent as support. The Taurus part of the chart is going to require us to use the Venusian opportunities to help Jupiter, to serve Jupiter, create that ending and new beginning in Taurus, and to serve Uranus to make us more authentic in the Taurus part of the chart. Okay? Once that's done, Venus enters Sagittarius on December 29th, and we will be so happy to have Venus there at that point in time because we're going to need her there, considering the fact that Mercury is going to go retrograde shortly. The Sagittarius new moon with Mercury retrograde bothers me less than the Virgo new moon when we had Mercury. We had the same thing happen where we had the new moon and Mercury either going retrograde or direct, basically being stationary within a day of the new moon. In the Virgo new moon, I think it may have been the same thing. We may have had the Virgo new moon and the day after Mercury was going direct, and here we have the Sag new moon and we've got Mercury going retrograde. With the Virgo new moon, it was a bigger deal for me because it colored the entire cycle, because the Virgo new moon is ruled and in this case was disposited by Mercury. So the stationary Mercury really played a huge role in the energies from the middle of September to the middle of October. Whereas the Mercury retrograde in Sag and Capricorn is definitely a need and a time for integration and disruption as we move forward in our path, but it still means that there's going to be a certain amount of forward movement that's going to be occurring even during the month of December. And I'm going to talk more about this when I get to the Sagittarius part of the discussion, which I will. Venus trines Saturn in Pisces on December the 5th, a few days ago. Venus opposes Jupiter in 2 days on December the 9th. Venus opposes Neptune on December the 23rd. Let me just say that again. Mercury is going retrograde, and so we're going to have these snafus here. Venus trines Saturn on December 5th. Venus opposes Jupiter in Taurus, Venus in Scorpio, December 9th. Venus in Scorpio opposes Uranus in Taurus, December 23rd. Venus in Scorpio trines Neptune in Pisces, December 25th. And on the 29th of December, Venus moves into Sag. So 3 remaining transits. Remember that the Taurus transits require a certain amount of whatever it is. If there's action we've been wanting to take in the Scorpio part of the chart to support the new beginnings in the Taurus part of the chart and the greater authenticity, December would be a great time to do that, to start to plant those seeds, to start to avail of those opportunities. Venus, wherever she is, irrespective of what is going on around us, the Mercury retrograde will create wrinkles and will create other challenges. But the time is here. When it comes to trines and when it comes to supporting the Pisces part of the chart, it may be financial or relationship things that come in and activities that occur that come in to support whatever it is that you're trying to heal and handle and manage in the Pisces part of the chart. Again, it may mean that you are taking action to do that. But when it comes to supporting the Taurus part of the chart, you absolutely may need to be in even greater action, availing of opportunities, relationships, financial opportunities, day-to-day life, portals and openings. Now is the time to act in the Scorpio part of the chart and trust that alignment will occur by the time you head to the middle of January, even by the time you clear Mercury retrograde by January 3rd, 4th, 5th. So if you avail of, and I would start now, because in 2 days' time you've got Venus opposing Jupiter, and by the 23rd you've got Venus opposing Uranus. So I would absolutely start to find solutions and get in those conversations and avail of the opportunities. They could be creative opportunities, they could be, I would just be present to what they might be so that you can assist in this transformation that is still continuing to occur in the Taurus part of the chart, and expansion that is still trying to continue to occur in the Taurus part of the chart, by making the changes that you want to make in the Scorpio part of the chart to support that. Whether it is to, with Venus, whether it is to look for new opportunities in the Scorpio part of the chart in some way, whether it is to beautify or strengthen what you've currently got. It could be a both and it doesn't have to be an and or. I'll let you determine where Scorpio sits in your chart and what needs to be released and what needs to be constructed and what new vistas there need to be explored. But after recent activities through Scorpio that have trined Saturn and Neptune and Pisces and opposed Jupiter and Uranus, now till the end of December 29th is when we can start to find solutions. It's an active time still. From the sign of Sagittarius, we are trining Aries, so we're trining Chiron and North Node in Aries. From the sign of Sagittarius, whatever planets are going there are squaring, and so need a certain amount of action, the Sagittarius part of the chart, by virtue of feeling a little bit blocked, or maybe significantly blocked by Saturn and Neptune and Pisces. So those activities are occurring too. Once the planets enter Capricorn, they trine Uranus and Jupiter in Taurus. So thinking about the Aries and Taurus part of the chart and managing responsibly the Pisces part of the chart with the support of these personal planet transits is the order and the theme of the day. And being open to, as we head towards December 13th and Mercury going retrograde, being open to what is going to come out of the woodwork that is in our blind spot that we don't know about, that has to be factored in no matter how disappointing that realization may be. More to follow. If you found this video useful, feel free to share it, comment on it, like it, the comments and likes give it more circulation, subscribe to my YouTube channel, click on the wiggly bell on top of the subscribe option so you're notified whenever I do new videos. My thanks to everyone who supports the channel. If you are interested in getting a reading, I saw someone interested, please remember that my email address is in the description part of the box, so you can always use that to get in touch with me. Okay, thank you.